So we didn't finish 4.8 yesterday, so we're going to finish it today. We did 2 examples that you should have been able to do on your homework. One was what the academic opener was on, and then one had to do with area of a rectangle. Just as a quick refresher, the area of a rectangle can be found using what equation?
Length times width.
Good, length times width. And then we plug everything we know in, and that would give us our answer. So let's look at example 3. I want you guys to write down the actual problem. The height of a triangle is 6 inches greater than twice its base. The area of the triangle, oops, typo, is 10 square inches. What is the base of the triangle? So I want you guys to write that down.
We do it on whiteboard.
We have to do the hypotenuse.
Okay guys, so let's look at this. So we know a couple things about the height, right? The height is 6 inches greater than twice the base. Okay, so what do you want to call the base?
B.
Okay, so let's call base B. So then how could I write height?
H.
H, okay, but we know some information about the height, right? The height is 6 inches greater than twice the base. What does twice the base mean? 2b. And then what does 6 inches greater mean? Plus 6. So we take the base, multiply it by 2, and then add 6. That's how we're going to find the height. Okay, so we know the base, we know the height. Now let's look at the information that they give us. The area of the triangle is 10 square inches. So area is equal to 10 inches squared. Do I have a formula for area of a triangle?
Base times height times 1/2.
Half times base times height, or base times height divided by 2. Okay, so let's write out that formula for area of a triangle. I'm actually going to put a box around it because it's something you should have memorized. Do we have enough information to plug into all of that? Yeah, we actually do. What's the area equal to? 10 equals 1/2. What's the base?
B.
B.
Oh, B.
And what's the height?
2B plus 6.
2b plus 6. So here's our equation. Anybody see anything that we could do, Savannah? Yeah, we can take that b and distribute it. So that's going to give us 10 equals 1/2, it doesn't go away, times b times 2b gives me 2b squared plus 6 times b, 6b. Now what do I do?
Distribute the half.
Yeah, distributing 1/2 is the same as dividing by what, guys?
2.
By 2. So what's that going to give me?
B squared.
1b squared plus
3B.
3b. Can you guys solve this?
Yes.
This is similar now to what we did in the AO, right?
Yeah.
What would my first step be? Who is 16? Jer, what would my first step be? Subtract 3b? We want to get the whole thing equal to what? 0. So what would I subtract? Yeah, I would subtract 10. So now we're going to get, I'm going to switch this over. 0 equals b squared plus 3b minus 10. It doesn't matter that the 0 is on the left and not on the right. The work is still the same. And then what would I do here? What method am I going to use for factoring? Who's 9? Good, diamond method. So ladies and gentlemen, what two things multiply to negative 10 and add up to positive 3?
Negative 2.
2 and 5. Which one has to be negative?
2.
The 2. So this is going to give me 0 equals b minus 2 times b plus 5. Okay, last step. Choose 27. Okay, Chuyi, what would my last step be? Zero. Product.
Oh, product.
Property, yeah. 0 product property, which means I set each one of these equal to 0. So b minus 2 equals 0, and b plus 5 equals 0. So then on the left, I add 2 to both sides, and that gives me b equals 2, and then subtract 5 from both sides, so b equals negative 5. Now these are bases that are in inches, so we would get 2 inches and negative 5 inches. What do you see?
You can't have a negative as a thing.
Yeah, you can't have negative 5 inches. So we cross that out and I only have one answer. My base is 2 inches. Make sure you write inches. You have to write the inches. Did I answer the question?
No.
Yeah, I did. It says, what is the base of the triangle? So I'm done.
Base is 2 inches, right?
My base is 2 inches. And that's it.
This takes up too much room.
Okay, I got it.
Not bad? 3. Okay, let's look at the last example for this set. Example 4. There is quite a bit of writing. I do want you to write the whole problem. Only because you will encounter these on the test and on your homework, and I want to make sure that you have at least one example written down. On the homework, you do not have to write the whole problem. Okay, so just right here on the example 4, I want you to write the whole thing. This isn't from the last unit. Okay, so example 4 says, David drops a ball from the top of a building with a height of 64 feet. The height h of the ball, so I want you to circle that. H is the height. In feet, after t seconds, so t stands for the seconds, can be found using the formula h equals negative 16t squared plus 64. How long will it take the ball to reach the ground? Write out the whole problem, and then we will solve it. This is a physics problem.
Yeah, I didn't even know how to do those.
Because it's gravity.
This one math.
Okay, did you guys get it all written down? Okay, guys, so let's look at this problem. So basically, we have somebody that's dropping a ball from a building. H is the height. T is the time in seconds. Savannah asked a really good question. She noticed that on the homework, it's always negative 16t squared. And she said, why is it always the same? The reason being is because of gravity. Gravity is always constant. It always has the same amount of pull. And so whenever you're doing a physics problem, when gravity is involved, it will always be negative 16t squared. Okay, so it has to do with gravity. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite the equation just right here because we're going to be working with it for a little bit. Okay, the height of the ball is h, and the question asks us, how long will it take for the ball to reach the ground? If my question is saying how long, does that mean I'm going to be solving for h or solving for t?
T.
I'm going to be solving for t. I'm trying to figure out how long. So that means I should be plugging something in here for h. Let's read the question again. How long will it take for the ball to reach the ground? What is the height of my pencil? Say that this table is the ground and I'm dropping my pen. Here it is at, I don't know, would you call that 2 feet? Let's say it's 2 feet above the table. Now I drop it. What's the height of the pen now?
0.
0. So when the ball hits the ground, what's the height going to be?
0.
0. So what should we do or what should we plug in for the height?
0.
0. So let's plug in 0 for the height. So 0 equals negative 16t squared plus 64. Does this look like something we could solve now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm hearing a couple of you say difference of two squares. Look at our poster up here in the back. What do I need to solve or check for first? GCF. Okay, look at this. 16 and 64. Do I have a GCF? Yes. Would this be a difference of two squares right now, guys, anyway?
No.
No, because it's addition. Okay, but I have a GCF of 16. Let me fill you in on a little tip. We never want t squared to be negative. So instead of pulling out a positive 16, you always want to pull out the negative 16. Okay? So then let's see what happens. When I divide negative 16 t squared by negative 16, what am I left with? Positive t squared, right? Now what about when I divide 64 by negative 16? Negative 4. Okay, so all that does is it changes the sign, and now I have t squared minus 4, which is what? A difference of 2 squares. So this gives us 0 equals negative 16. Set up your difference of 2 squares. What goes in the first blank?
Negative t.
Not negative t, just t. And what goes in the second blank?
2.
2 and 2. Okay, well, did I solve for t yet?
No.
No, so what do I have to do? Distributing will totally undo everything I just did. Do the zero product property. If you distribute or box or FOIL, you will totally undo everything we just did because that's backwards. So we set each factor equal to 0. So negative 16 is a factor, so set it equal to 0. T plus 2 equals 0. And t minus 2 equals 0. Okay, let's think about it. Can negative 16 ever equal 0?
No.
No, so it's impossible. So go ahead and cross it off. Okay? T plus 2 equals 0. I subtract 2 from both sides. And that gives me t equals negative 2.
You can't have negative 2 seconds.
And t equals positive 2. Now, Zach, will you say that again one more time?
You can't have negative 2 seconds.
Yeah, t is time in seconds. Is there such thing as negative time, guys?
No.
No, so this is also not an answer choice. So what? How long does it take for the ball to reach the ground?
2 seconds.
2 seconds.
How can we just cross out that negative?
Because negative 16 equals 0 is impossible. Negative 16 does not equal 0, right? Negative 16 only equals negative 16. But we have to set it equal to 0 because it is a factor. Okay? So you set everything equal to 0, cross out what doesn't make sense, and what's left is 2 seconds.